So I've been playing the heck out of the Castlevania games for the past while. You gotta try them, trust me, they're like drugs for my monkey brain. And speaking of things that make you question the foundation of reality, the arduous 20-minute long venture of Simon Belmont through Castlevania makes you truly think the scale of the place. Seriously, how does this guy afford this? Well, it was the 1600s and costs were dirt cheap back then, I assume. I mean, he also did build it himself, or at least the servants did or something. But that's besides the point. How big is Dracula's castle really? To figure out the size of Dracula's home, we first need to figure out a sense of scale. Luckily, Simon here is a great starting point for our answer. We simply have to find out how tall he is. There is an official height by Brady Games Guide, which is 185 meters, or about 6'1". The issue here is that the height kinda sucks. Another character in this guide, Alucard, is also stated to be the same height, which also happens to be also the same height for Trevor, in the same guidebook. But the third game clearly shows that he's at least a head taller than him. He's also taller than any Belmont we see in the series. You may call this nitpicky, but this type of thing is really important when you're this unemployed. So what now? Well, thankfully we could turn to a game that doesn't have this tiny itty-bitty imperfection. Persona 5. I know, quite outlandish, but bear with me on this. Thank you, Bear. In Smash Ultimate, you can count these squares in the training mode, each representing 10 centimeters. And holy moly, guess what? Joker's exact height is exactly 17.5 boxes, meaning we can say the scale is accurate. Simon, while standing straight up, is 18 boxes tall, or 1.80 meters, but hunches down to around 170 meters. We use this figure seeing as his sprite is also doing the exact same stance. Simon in the NES Castlevania is 30 pixels tall, and if he's 170, then each pixel must be about 5.67 centimeters. Using this, we can determine that one of these blocks is about 90.76 centimeters, as there are 16 pixels both wide and tall. Now all that's left for us to do is to count these blocks, every last one of them, for every level. Is what I would say if I was a liar. See, the map just kinda doesn't make sense. Believe me, I tried making it make sense. I individually attempted to glue together all the levels in the game, and the result is that the castle keep clips into the boss room of the third level. And I mean, it's a game, I'm not surprised. Of course, a developer wouldn't be worried if the actual structure of the levels matches what's in the in-game map. So height is off the table, not that I was accounting for it anyways. So let's just move on to width. I'm just going to count all the blocks from the entrance to the furthest part of the castle on the other side. Should be easy, right? Yeah, that took a while. There's probably an easier way to know since I kept running into the number 96 for these long hallways. So maybe it's like a memory thing? I don't know, I'm not some computer nerd. So in total, Castlevania from its furthest points would measure about 610 blocks. And putting everything together, it would be around 553.63 meters. Yeah, that's half a kilometer, or around a third of a mile. But I feel like we're forgetting something. Of course, it's a 2D game. The castle wouldn't look like a straight line. What is this, Terraria, huh? Is Dracula secretly Chilean, huh? Are the Chileans trying to spy on me again, huh? Right, so let's assume that this iteration of the castle is of course a 3-dimensional entity, that the areas that we see in the castle as Simon is simply the quickest route to the throne room. I mean, there are a lot of places that look like they could lead somewhere else, so who knows? But I'm getting sidetracked. Let's assume that the area of the land Castlevania inhabits is a circle, for simplicity's sake. Then let's also assume that our measured length is our diameter. I could find the area which is the diameter, but honestly I low-key forgot how to do that. So let's take our diameter and half it, and that would be our radius. Then plug in the formula for area of a circle. Of course, pi is just 3.14, so we just plug that in, and what do you get?
That's quite big. Impressive.
It's actually larger than the largest castle in the world. the Marlborough Castle in Poland. And not just that, Dracula goes through some major upsizing in his castle for a few of the other games. So how much would it cost for him to own this castle? Well, I don't know really. It's a question I'm so not qualified to answer. There's a bunch of factors that you have to consider, like just maintenance, the land, location, materials, labor. I mean, I assume the Lord of Darkness at least pays the servants a livable wage. And that's all for me today, folks. See you later.